Yo, what's up guys? So we're heading into the truck today. Going to do a little video today. Some people have been requesting us to do a little bit more in-depth look at the hook truck. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over actually each individual control, what it does, and check it out a little bit more in depth. So come along for the ride. So we're on our way to the location where we're going to pull over and we're going to check out the truck on an in-depth look. We're going to go over the actual individual controls and what the controls do, and when you pull a control, what it actually does. So if you're a beginner or if you have a different model truck or different brand of hook truck, you might want to check this out because this is an American hook lift, and they actually have made some changes from what I understand since this body was developed, but nevertheless they still exist and they're still in operation. We're on our way to location, and you know, thanks for checking out the video. Hey, we like to ask people, don't forget, hit the subscribe button if you see what you like, and you think that our videos are going to be helpful to you. We're going to be putting out a lot of cool content. We're going to be putting out a lot of content on hook trucks, Peterbilts, and anything to do with dumpster deliveries. I think you'll have you get a kick out of our content. We're going to really try to put out some interesting videos for you. So please, you know, shoot a comment, hit the subscribe button, and you know, stand by for some awesome content. All right, so we're here. We're gonna check out the truck. I'm gonna go over the controls and all the bits and pieces of the truck and actually how it works. And after today's video, I think you're going to get a real good understanding on just how the American Palfinger hook truck works on a Peterbilt chassis. So check it out with us. What I wanted to go over first was some real basic stuff. The truck is pretty simple. But to be honest with you, if you watch the whole video, I think you'll pick some things up that if you're going to start running a hook truck, that you'll, I think it could benefit you. Now on a cab over, the transmission filler is on the outside of the truck. You don't have to pop the hood to check your transmission. The PTO is right here. This is the PTO. Here's your transmission, and your PTO bolts to your transmission, and then through an electrical connector, which is right here, it turns the PTO on, and then the PTO then in turn will drive the hydraulic pump. This is your supply, and then you have your high pressure that comes out of your hydraulic pump. So it's pretty simple. The daily inspections do require you to check that the bolts are tight on your PTO. I've actually had the bolts come loose from the PTO to the transmission, and the transmission oil actually leaked out, and we almost lost the transmission. So that inspection process is real important, and you'll have actually a warning label that tells you to check that every time. On a cab over, you have a lot of wires that are on the outside of the chassis. If you look at the new 220s, you see a lot less of these wires. They've rerouted the wires in a lot of the Pete 220s. On this particular truck, if you notice, these wire ties, they get really brittle, and they'll break, and then this harness will start rattling around. I've actually had this, so if you notice, some of these wire ties are new because I'm constantly inspecting and redoing wire ties. Once again, transmission's exposed. You can get to your grease fittings nice and easy on the 220. You know, a lot of these wires are just, they're prone for damage. I don't know why Peterbilt does that, but anyway, that's the way the trucks are built. Here is obviously the air filter on the 220. It's exposed and it's underneath. There's a rubber gasket on the bottom. If you pinch it, that will get any big particulars out and also release any water. I've seen these freeze before, so if you pinch out a little bit and let any debris out and any water out. And what this does is you have a little lever here, and you would turn that to the right. You pump this up, and then the cab will lift up. The cab will stay up under pressure. Now when you turn it this way, you pump it again, and that will actually pump it down, and it's actually pumping it down under pressure. So you put your rod in here and you pump it down. So you would actually have to turn this sideways, and then you would pump it down. So you're actually pumping it up under pressure, and when you turn this, you're actually pumping it down under pressure. And then once your cab is down, a jar light should go out, which I have had problems with as well. So here we are at the battery box. Battery box is easy to remove. You have two rubber gaskets on either side, and you lift it forward, and then obviously you want to grab it really, really tight, because what could happen is if you lift this battery box and you don't want to short it out. So if that falls for whatever reason onto the battery, you can short it out. And check your battery connections. We do this probably once a week. On the 220s, they're very prone to electrical problems. These models, for some reason, when these batteries get weak, the electrical issues are a nightmare. So I've changed these batteries already, and when they get low, you'll have slow starts. The truck won't want to start. You'll get lights that'll come on. And you know, you could just come in, you check your connectors. Also as well too, on the weekends, there's a battery disconnect switch over here. You turn this handle, and that basically will shut your batteries off. So if you're not gonna drive the truck for a few days, or even over the weekend, you could shut this off. And it's also kind of like an anti-theft device as well too. You can even put a padlock on it, and that will stop you from draining your batteries, because there is a slight load on the truck even though it's off. Obviously that is the connector to plug your truck in overnight. So if you know it's going to be below freezing, you could plug in your truck to a 110 into your house or to your shop, and it'll start up like it's, you know, a summer day. That's this area of the truck. The electrical system, these trucks are really particular when it comes to the electrical system. They really need well-charged and well-maintained batteries. I can't emphasize that enough. And I'll put this back on, holding it nice and tight, making sure I'm not putting the lid on the inside of the case versus the outside where it should go. I don't want to short anything out. So as far as the air tanks, you got your primary and your secondary air tank. I don't know which one is which, to be honest with you. I know one's your primary and one's your secondary. I always check the connectors right here. You know, these release connectors, they have a tendency sometimes to get loose. Actually, the other truck, we just found one today, was loose on our pre-trip. We had an air leak this morning on the other truck, and we just pushed it in and actually fixed it. So we could hear it. So after we heard it, we did a visual inspection and found out what it was. Toolbox, we use that. This one does not have a tarper, so we keep our flares and our DOT device in there, our signaling device that DOT requires you to have, either flares or triangles. So we'll keep those in there. This particular truck has the plastic fenders. We like the plastic fenders. They're easier for us to fix in the shop if they break. The metal ones, you know, it's just a little bit more of a hassle to deal with that if you break a fender. So we can change these out. These are actually the original fenders. Haven't had it. They're pretty heavy duty. So and they flex real well too. So if you would hit this as a metal fender, it would actually bend it, as opposed to this. You can see you have a lot of flex. So if you hit that, you're not bending it. You're just flexing it. If you're running a hook truck and you want to try to make it, if you're an owner operator, there's a little trick I could tell you guys is, you see these weep holes right here? The salt will come in when in the winter time and lay in there. And what we do is we try to rinse that out, because if you look at other trash trucks or other roll-offs or hook trucks, you'll see that this area rusts out a lot. And if you notice, this one has rust on the top, but we don't have rust here because we try to rinse the salt out. Here on the East Coast, with the salt and the brine they use, it really is just extra corrosive. So we'll rinse this area off. So that'll save us from having to replace this portion of the body. So we try to rinse that off. This is a really problematic area for rust. So if you notice, ours doesn't have it, because we really try to pay attention to this area, especially in the wintertime, when the salt lays in there, and we'll put a hose and we'll squirt that out. This one, we have a Pintle Hook, and obviously the eyes.